and the combination of the three. But we had some great studies come out.
Trump is answering
Italy,
questions.
France,
This is live.
Spain,
He's talking about
many doctors,
hydroxychloroquine.
many doctors came out and they said
testing
it's
right
great. Now you have to go to a doctor. I
was going to show this whole
House.
thing
said,
afterwards, but
and it's just a
enough
line
people
of
have
defense.
asked me to do it
I'm just
live that
talking
we're
about as a
actually
line of defense. I'm
live
dealing with a lot of
streaming it.
people. Look at all the people in the room. You know, I'm the president, and I'm dealing with a lot of people. And it's a very inexpensive drug. It's almost pennies. It's very inexpensive, and it's been out for close to 70 years for a couple of different things.
Yesterday
right?
he said 40
Lupus
years.
and malaria and even arthritis. They say.
Hey, Kim.
But I think it's worth it as a line of defense, and I'll stay on it for a little while longer. I'm just very curious myself, but it seems to be very safe. But that study
So,
was a phony study
experimenting with
put out by
drugs.
the VA. You may want to talk about that. I mean, we could talk about that if anybody wants to, and maybe I'd ask Alex to talk about then. If you would introduce our great talented head of the VA and let him say a couple of words. But that was a phony study, and it's very dangerous to do it. The fact is,
Oh, the VA was a phony study now.
people should want to help people, not to make political points. It's really sad when they do that. Go ahead.
The VA was making a political point with the study.
Hydroxychloroquine has been approved by the FDA for decades here in the United States for the treatment of malaria, for the prevention of malaria, treatment of lupus, treatment of rheumatoid arthritis. And the system we have here in the United States, that is, once a drug has been approved and on the market, a doctor in consultation with a patient may use it for what we call off-label purposes, which are indications that are not yet proven and not yet in the label. And this is the right to try president. He, for the first time, got the historic right to try legislation for experimental therapies, but
His
that
right
applies
to
to
try.
our existing
He's not
regime,
sick.
which is approved products may be used in the judgment of a physician in consultation with their patient. As the
Right to
president said,
try.
and I'll ask Secretary Wilkie to talk a bit about the VA study. There's been some studies around the use of hydroxychloroquine later in disease progression, but we are still working on some controlled studies earlier in the disease progression to see if we can measure the effectiveness of it.
We have
in
two from
preventing
New
the
York.
replication of the
The
virus and
FDA
spread
has
in
said,
mild to
do
moderate
not take
cases
this
rather
outside
than
of a
more
study.
serious, and that data is still pending. But
And it's got, well, it's got very good reviews. Very good from
Very.
many doctors. Many
3
doctors.
stars, like a general.
Secretary, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to clear up something that the media has not
How
reported accurately.
dare you insult monkeys
That
like
was
that?
not a VA study.
Can you hear him? Because I think it's important. You asked the question.
Yeah.
The VA study was
You
not
wanna
a
listen?
VA
'Cause I
study.
don't even think you're listening.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Why
Thump,
don't you
thump,
listen
thump,
to him?
thump, 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 thump.
That was not a VA study. Researchers took VA numbers, and they did not clinically review them. They were not peer-reviewed. They did not even look at what the President just mentioned, the various comorbidities that the patients who were referenced in that study
Trump has 2 comorbidities.
I also want to echo what the Secretary of HHS said. The instructions I received from the President were very clear, and that was to preserve and protect life. Those of us who've had a military life, some of us around this table, we've been taking this drug for years. As the President mentioned, the Department of Defense and VA have been using it for 65 years. On any given day, VA uses 42,000 doses of this drug. And what we did when this virus first
That's a lot for
hit
one
us
guy.
was to use every means necessary to help preserve life. We believe that the Congress was right, and the President signed legislation to protect life, the right to try. And we did this in consultation not only with the families of those veterans, but we did this in consultation
The
with
president
our doctors
is asymptomatic,
under FDA
and yet
guidelines.
right
so I
to
want
try.
knock down the phony story that this is somehow the VA going back on what the President told us to do, which was to use every means possible to protect and preserve the lives of our veterans. And I think, as the President mentioned, we've seen in many cases across this country. In fact, I was on the news.
I'm going to go ask for some
today
morphine
that the
because
governor of New
someday
York
I
was
might
asking
break
for
my
tens
leg.
of thousands of doses.
Right to try, damn it.
We are doing everything we can to protect the lives of our veterans, and this is one of the means that we used.
Thank you. Hydroxychloroquine is
You got it
used
right.
by thousands and thousands of frontline workers so that hopefully they don't catch this horrible disease or whatever you want to call it.
True, random,
It
not
is,
just asymptomatic. He's
a terrible
negative.
Virus. It's a terrible thing.
Oh, it's a
and
terrible
a lot
thing.
of people are taking
Hold
it.
on.
A lot of doctors
You
are
write that
taking
down.
it. A lot of people swear by it. It's gotten a bad reputation only because I'm promoting it. So I'm obviously a very
Coronavirus.
bad promoter.
Bad thing.
If anybody else were promoting it, they'd say this is the greatest thing ever. But because of me, so a lot of doctors swear by it. I think
the
we can
drug
say
that hasn't been
Mr.
proven to
Secretary.
actually have any efficacy.
A lot of doctors think it's great, but the one thing that is
I know one
true,
person who's taken
one
it
way or the
personally,
other, whether
and they
you
have to
like
pull
it or
them off
not,
it.
it's been around for
Racing heart rate.
70 years.
Yeah.
Unbelievably effective for malaria and for lupus,
Oh,
and probably effective for arthritis.
you should take it in case you get lupus.
And what has been determined is it
I'm with
doesn't
Trump.
harm you.
Hey, Bev.
Very powerful drug, I guess, but it doesn't
I mean, except
harm
for
you.
the death.
And,
But if you're
so I
dead,
thought as
you
a,
don't care,
frontline
right?
defense, possibly it would be good. And I've had no impact from it. I've had no. I feel the same. I haven't changed. I don't think too much.
Too much.
And at some point, I won't take it. Might be soon. Might be a little bit. It doesn't seem to have any impact on me, but it seems to be a extra line of defense, and it's gotten tremendous reviews from some people. Including
I
many,
looked
many doctors
yesterday,
all
I
over
couldn't
the
really
world, and you should
find
look at some of the
frontline
studies.
workers in the
They've been
United
amazing,
States
some of the
taking
studies,
it
but
en masse.
That's up to people, and it's up, I think, strongly recommend to people with their doctor's advice and acknowledgement.
If only there were some sort of national body that could study drugs and make recommendations.
I don't know.
Some
I
sort
don't
of
know.
drug
That's a personal thing as to whether or not they
administration
want to answer that question. But
for
I
food
think many of them would take it if
and
they
drugs.
felt it was necessary. I also had a case where we had somebody fairly close to me, very nice young gentleman. He tested positive.
Uh-huh.
And he tested positive.
Young.
Plus, I deal with Mike a lot, and Mike had somebody very close to him who I also see who tested positive.
Right.
So I think
We know
I
that.
thought, from my standpoint, not a bad time to take it, because we had the combination. The two people. It's two people in a very big building with a lot of people working. But so I thought it would be appropriate, but it has had no impact in terms of me. Okay.
Okay.
Any other question, please?
Mr. President,
Yes. Go ahead. You want to go? Go ahead.
I just want to ask you a question on Brazil. Who's
Brazil.
Which is now, yes, in third place now, catching up to Russia in second place with a number of cases. Are you finally considering a travel ban from Brazil and Latin America?
We are considering it. We hope that we're not going to have a problem. The governor
But
of
he's your
Florida
friend.
is doing very, very well. Testing is in particular Florida, because a big majority come into Florida.
Oh.
Brazil has gone more or less herd. You know what that is, herd. And they're having problems. By the way, when you say that we lead in cases, that's because we have more testing than anybody else. So we test much more than anybody
What about
else.
deaths?
Again, we're close to 14 million. It was said 12 and a half. It's actually, I think, close to 14 million now. And so we have 14 million tests. In Germany, if they do 2 million, that's a lot. And others are doing 1 million. So if you're testing 14 million people,
And if you look at
you're
Andorra,
going to find many more cases. Many of these people are
Liechtenstein,
very sick, but they
the
still go down
Vatican.
as a case. So actually, the number of cases, and we're also a much bigger country than most. So when we
Yes.
have a lot
So
of
per
cases, I don't look at
capita,
that as
we
a bad thing.
are
I look at that as, in a certain
39th.
respect, as being a good thing, because it means our testing is much better. So if we were testing 1 million people instead of 14 million people,
Yeah, we aren't
we would have
testing
far
14 million
fewer
people.
cases.
We aren't anywhere
Right?
close to 14 million
So,
people. The
I
same
view it
people
as a
get tested
badge of
multiple
honor.
times.
Really, it's
until
a
they're
badge
negative.
of honor.
Twice.
It's a great tribute to the testing and all of the work that a lot of
Tribute
professionals
to the
have done.
testing.
Okay?
that they're going to bring their
Oh, yeah,
cases
no,
in there.
I say, as to the first part of your question, yeah, sure.
I'd be
I
drunk
worry about
already, Bev.
everything. I don't want people coming in here and affecting our people. I don't want people over there sick either. We're helping Brazil with ventilators. We're sending them ventilators, okay?
Good.
They need ventilators. I'm sending them ventilators. We have so many thousands of them. We're sending them. We're sending a lot of people. No, Brazil is having some trouble. No question about it. Sweden,
Yeah,
by the
I don't
way,
know
I've heard
why
a lot about
every
Sweden
question
and the
isn't
way they
about
do it.
death.
Well, you have Norway, Denmark, Finland,
That's
Sweden,
true, Kim.
that little group of beautiful countries. Well, Sweden took a little different attitude, but Sweden has
That's
far more deaths than
Scandinavia.
the other three. You know that.
And then
right? Do you know
Denmark
that?
is this.
Yeah, a lot
Boom.
more death. Many times the deaths.
Yeah.
but they did it a different way, and I understand that too. And as Mike said very well before, there is death on both sides. There's death on both sides.
What of what?
There's death in staying in a shutdown also.
Not
And lots of
even
other things.
close.
There's also death. Okay.
See, in terms of travel between the United States and Europe, but lifting travel restrictions.
I'd love it to open up as soon as it can, but we have to make sure that we're doing well and they're doing well. And in many cases we are. But, we have a very big country. We have some areas that have done incredibly well. We have other areas where the results it's tougher. New York and New Jersey are tougher. People don't realize New Jersey is the most dense state. A lot of people don't realize that.
Oh, trust me, I've
Governor's
been
a
to
terrific
Jersey.
Person. He's very liberal, but that's okay. He's a very liberal guy, but we like him. He's a good man,
10,000
and he's
from the
working very
2008
hard.
recession
But New
in
Jersey's a very
combined
dense
North America and
area,
Europe.
very, very dense.
Additional suicides.
And, I speak to Andrew a lot, Andrew Cuomo a lot. We're working very well together, and those are the two spots that have really been very heavily hit. A big portion, a big percentage. I don't know what it is. It's a very big percentage. Almost half of our deaths would be to those two. Now, at the same time, the numbers, even in those two places, are coming down. They're coming down very rapidly. And I put out yesterday a statement. Numbers are coming down with the exception of very few exceptions. The numbers are coming down all over the United States very rapidly.
They are not.
Very rapidly. It's a
Nope.
beautiful thing to watch.
In
But
New
it's
York,
left
it is.
behind serious death, and it shouldn't have happened. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Finish. Let's go. We're done.
Oh, he's doing the hug. He's closed off. He's protecting himself. Good for him.
And coming up, Florida Governor.
I hope he's okay. Okay, so what's going to happen is there were some additional stuff. There were some questions before this that were regular insanity. And then there were some speakers. One of them, I was typing this in here, Dr. Eleanor McCann's cast talked. And she talked with the governors yesterday, so they wanted to bring her in because they were trumpeting her this morning. Kelly McInerney was on Fox and/or Friends this morning. And her basic premise is 120,000 people die every year from suicide and drug-related overdoses. Yes. And she asks questions. How many more people will die because of stay at home? How many more how many more? So she came and spoke today as well. And mental illness, anxiety, depression, of course, very serious subjects. But she talked about a study, but there is no study on the long-term effects or an increase in deaths from suicide and drug overdoses with the quarantine, because we just haven't had anything like this. But she raises a lot of questions. And yes, she's a doctor, but I felt like I was watching Fox News. Is Obama really from Kenya? It's a question we should ask. Yep. Well, no, we have the birth certificate, we know, but all of the questions, and often you'll see in Fox, the crawl going across the bottom on Fox or OAN is a constant series of questions. Did Obama rape 17, 12-year-olds in 1986? It's a question worth asking. It's something that should be looked into. Would you want a president like that? So what I'm going to do is I have to take Kevinly daughter somewhere. She's going to drive. So you may never see me again. Thank you very much, everybody. Hopefully you'll realize after about a month or so that I'm missing and cancel your patron account. Hey, if you'd like to be a patron and support this, please do. Let's see. Today's broadcast brought to you by... I still got Maurice in there. I don't know. Is Marcy in here? Hold on. I can fix that, Marcy, because I did change that. This just kind of jumped on me here. Give me a second. I'm a change it, and then we'll do the credits and we'll get out of here. But I'm going to come back later. There we go. Okay, and boom, here it comes. So if you'd like to become a patron, go to kevinlyfather.com. The best view this because of the least delay is on YouTube. So youtube.com/kevinlyfather. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm Kevinly Father on there, I think. but I don't broadcast. Anyway, that's a different thing. Twitter, at Kevin Lee Father. And today's broadcast brought to you solely by Marcy Grover. Not that damn Maurice Grover. He's a stone cold loser. I'm going to leave that up there, Marcy, so you're going to get actual credit for the next broadcast as well. So I'm going to take Kevin Lee Daughter where she needs to go, and then come back, and we'll play it over again. And I think I saw most of it. It's just a Dear Leader Roundtable where everyone is praising the president for how great. You know, how come nobody talks about the 329 million Americans who aren't dead? Think about that, lamestream media. And we will skip through most of those parts, but there was some funny stuff for there. We'll talk about the president's comments, and we'll watch the beginning part of the question. We might just keep going as well. Anyway, let's see. Let me just catch up on chat here. But it's been a lot of beautiful deaths, Guitar. I mean, those are some tough people. The virus is tough. We found that out earlier today. Okay, so I'm really hoping that we're all wrong about spikes and a second wave, and that this is it, and we've lost 100,000 plus, and that's the extent of it. I really, really hope that that's the case. But no matter what happens, you know, one thing is for sure, Trump will take no responsibility and lay the blame on everyone else. That's two things. I'll edit out one of them, and then we good to go. Okay, FYI, I was a carrier for 10 months for deployment. Oh, you were on a carrier. It's like, you were a carrier of COVID for 10 months? You son of a... no social interaction except for other sailors, but why don't they talk about that and suicide? I don't know I know that getting out of the military, there's of course, a terrible problem with suicide. What is it, 21, 22 soldiers a day? Vets? I know sometimes soldiers are not. Anyway, but yeah, a huge problem, and studies have been done. And of course, what the takeaway from what we just saw, which we didn't see, only I saw, some of you were watching, and we'll talk about it later, is that so many people are not going in for their cancer screenings and their regular health exams, etc., because they're scared. Kids are not getting their vaccines because parents don't want to bring their children anywhere near sick people. And that makes total sense. I've had a toothache now for about a month and a half. Wait. Yeah, it's still there. I don't even notice it anymore because the morphine. Yeah. Oh, see, Marcy, exactly. Maurice is I want to keep this family friendly, but Maurice can suck my... Honestly, I'm out of everything. So I got to take Kevin Lee Daughter. I'll check back here, I don't know, about an hour or so, and then we'll watch the beginning. We'll skip through the bad parts, and we'll go on with our lives from there. Here's the credits. Look for your name. I don't know if, Marcy, I don't know if you're in there, but I bet you Maurice is. Oh, that Maurice.